welcome to an all-new episode of the Creators Outlet Podcast right here on YouTube and soon anywhere you can download a podcast. Make sure if you're listening to it on podcast form that you come and check out the YouTube channel, subscribe, ring the bell for all notifications. That way you can see everything we're talking about because obviously images are not included on podcasts. Also, don't forget, if you're downloading us on Spotify or iTunes, please rate the show. The appropriate number of stars, of course, is 5. And we hope to see you again real soon. But right now, we're going to welcome our special guest this evening. It's the one and only Ferret. What's up, dude?
Hey, ahoy, all of you sagacious scallywags out there in TV land. How you doing tonight?
Oh, doing wonderful. Fresh cup of coffee and ready to go.
Outstanding. That's I like that. I like my coffee like my Zeus, strong, black, and extra large.
I scared a bartender one night when I asked her for a cup of coffee. And she's like, how do you like it? I go, I like it like I like my women. She's like, oh, black? I go, no, ground up and in the freezer.
Oh, nice.
There was like drool coming out of her mouth a little bit. And
it's like, do I call the police?
The look of terror in her face
no.
as like 3 people at the bar laughed hysterically. So, I felt better about myself.
So somebody got it. That's the important thing.
Yeah. So tell us about yourself.
I am the creator of Scalpel Zero, the prototype Cyber-Droid Apex Predator from the year 2065. But you probably know me better from the Unbreathable Skunk Girl from Good Dog Press. I was the #1 hype guy, did the big wraparound cover over there, and I've done some covers and stuff, whatnot. I kind of hang around on the periphery. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've worked as a commercial art storyboard artist, concept design, art director for almost 2 decades in the entertainment industry. Yeah, I've been around for a minute, but just in different areas. And I'm a big proponent of indie comics. Huge proponent of indie comics. I like I'm a Raiders fan, so I like the little guy. I like the underdog.
See, now we're going to be fighting because when I used to give 2 craps about football, Denver was my team. So,
oh no,
we are unofficially mortal allies now.
Hey, that might actually get me to watching sports ball again.
Oh God, I am and always have been a huge hockey fan.
Okay.
So I'm like, all my friends were football guys because it's a lot easier to just, devote your life to a sport that only lasts 18 weeks.
There you go.
And I'm like, 18 weeks? My team's already played like 37 games in the time that you've done your whole season.
All right.
It's like, I like the sports where they make the athletes actually work for their money.
Right, for real. I always enjoy a good doubleheader.
Yeah, I did see a funny, weird, not haha so much.
Funny, thing. Interesting.
Yeah, the Cincinnati Reds have now opened a sport book at their stadium. But Pete Rose still can't get into the Hall of Fame.
Oh man, that's some
shady shit.
That really is. That's messed up.
Yeah.
That's messed up. Goodness gracious.
It's just like I'm really not okay with that. And it could be the fact that I'm old enough that on Saturday mornings after cartoons and spaghetti westerns were on, right after lunch, I could watch like a half hour of the Baseball Bunch with him.
Yeah.
With Johnny Bench and Pete Rose. And
yeah.
I'm like, I thought that was cool because I was, I'm old and that was on TV at the time and I was in Little League. And when I wasn't in Little League, my friends and I were playing, baseball in the street and getting yelled at by all the neighbors, even though they were trying to figure out how we smash tennis balls through people's picture windows. I'm like, you guys need to go to the field. Okay.
Right.
And we're gonna need a cooler with snacks and sodas then.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay, here you go. All right.
There you go. That's a good way to get a bribe.
Oh yeah, it works, you know. So let me ask you, what originally got you into comics?
Well, I grew up in a comic book family, and my mother was good friends with Julia Schwartz.
Oh, wow.
And so my first comic was a Doom Patrol, which I read to pieces, and my mom was just like heartbroken because she knew this is, before the big collector's boom, that was still worth money. And she was like all upset. She admonished me and apologized to him, and he was like, wait, so what happened? Is like, oh, I read the book to pieces. And he's like, oh, that's perfect. I couldn't have a better answer. But I really wasn't like, I read comic books. I picked up comics at the local spinner rack and stuff like it, but I wasn't like really like into comics until He-Man came out. I was that prime demographic. I was between the ages 8 and 10. And each action figure came with a little short, like 8-page comic book.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started drawing that. And when I was 11, started like that's when I really started drawing that stuff, was when I was 11 years old. And Julie's in town for a convention, and so he's visiting, and he sees my little art, and he's like, so hey, would you like, he sparks up a conversation to ask me about this, like, oh, what about this, you've been reading comics for a long time, but you never drew any comic book stuff. And I was all into He-Man, so I was talking it up. He goes, well, next year, would you like to come to the convention with me? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So the next year I went, I was hooked. 13, I submitted my first portfolio.
Wow.
I was hooked, man. I was hooked. I fell in love with it. I got to get around the scenes and behind the scenes and meet all these rock stars and these up-and-comers. I met Norm Brayfogle at the time. We were pals. When I was a teen, we were convention buddies. Like if he was in town, we were hanging out. And that was like right about the time he got the Shadow of the Bat gig. And we kind of geeked out like schoolgirls at that. And I was hooked.
I've still got those books.
Yeah, that was my first subscription with Shadow of the Bat too, and I got it just because I knew the guy who was working on it. No other reason.
Wow, man.
And I never even knew how important Julie was. I just thought, he was an editor. Like, okay, so he had a job at one time. And it was like, I didn't even realize it until I was like in my late teens, and then I really I actually looked him up, right? And I was like,
holy crap!
Holy crap! I never knew the resource I had. I got to hang out with like he always hung out with Gil Kane and Murphy Anderson. Like those were his hands. That was the terrible trio of DC Comics, man. Those three right there created what we recognize as classic DC Comics, really.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they were the key engineers behind that, and so getting to hang out with those two old coots was a lot of fun. And it was funny because I never really even knew that they were artists for the longest time until I actually went to a convention and found out that they worked in comics. I just thought they were his friends. Like, yeah, no, these are my friends. I'm like, okay. I have no idea who you are.
Yeah, you might have seen some pictures that I drew. You might have seen some pictures I drew for, I don't know, The Flash, There was like a 12-cent price tag up on the top corner.
Yeah.
The first showcase appearance of Green Lantern fighting a yellow missile, because why not?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No. And it was kind of cool. I had my first inking lesson from Murphy Anderson.
Oh, nice.
He was inking an Atom piece, and he was just kind of like he just kind of like looked over and kind of like moves his head over and goes, "Hey, you want to learn something real quick?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And because I think I had like known me since I was like 8 years old or something like that, and so yeah, no, that was my first inking lesson. It was an emphasis on line weight and direction of light, and it sticks in my mind to this day.
It's a very important lesson, by the way.
It is. But yeah, that's the story about how I got into comics.
Wow.
And
I won't say I hate you, but
it's okay.
On a jealous level. Hold on, let me get this up first. I fucking hate you.
That's acceptable. That doesn't say yes. We'll accept that one.
Because I was only holding on to a couple of subscriptions at my local shop.
Yeah.
That idea not included, because I consider that more like an indie thing, indie small press thing.
Mm-hmm.
And because I have been collecting Batman and Detective since 1974.
Oh, wow.
And this BS that they're all doing. I mean, so like there was a lot of stuff I go, man, what the F is this? This is stupid. I go, but I'm in the middle of a storyline. I got to see how it ends. So I went through and stopped my Batmans after the City of Bane storyline.
Okay.
But then continued to buy them from Comic Book Shopping Network from Jesse James Comics out in Arizona, where I have an account for back issues mostly, right?
Right.
And so I buy from him on his online Facebook sales and stuff. I used to buy like crazy because he used to have like insane deals on everything. Now not so much. But I quit buying stuff. But then I see like every issue is this big giant like first appearance thing, and then there was the punchline thing, which ended up being nothing. But I still had like the issue, and then I had the following issues, and then he had like an exclusive like #1 of hers, and then I was buying the Joker issues, which they just canceled the series. I mean, I've got the original Joker run from the 70s, multiple copies of course, and so I was getting those two books, Justice League Dark, because I like that whole premise. It's just awesome.
Right. Oh yeah, that was a fun one.
And Immortal Hulk, because that was like Rockstar Comics.
Right.
And then for the first time since like the 90s, I quit the Hulk. All they had to do was say, yeah, we're taking the guy that's been writing the Hulk and has built up the readership to millions of people worldwide again, and we're going to give it to Donny Cates.
Oh. Ooh.
Now, I've had run-ins with Donny Cates, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It was, it was very civil. I have typed in hashtag I hates the Cates so many times on my phone. All I have to do is hit hashtag and the letter I, and it just comes up. And I did that one day on the Twitterverse, and he responded.
Uh-oh.
I don't think that's going to get you the reaction you're hoping for. I go, no, it did get me the reaction I'm hoping for. My reaction was for you to respond to me so I could just say something to you. And that something is that I have thoroughly enjoyed a lot of your work off the mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
I've read, a bunch of stories that you've done for different small press companies, and I thought they were great. But you found a method that I will refer to as the comic writer's rhythm method. It doesn't work for me. And you found that, and then you just rinsed and repeated with that ever since. The biggest thing that I hated outside of, I will call them the millennial simps for Venom.
Oh, yes.
It should be. Now, I like Venom.
Right.
As a backup character.
Yeah, he's a good side story character.
Mm-hmm.
Omaki is the Japanese term for a side story that pertains to the main story, but you don't have to read it to get the whole main story. But if you do read it, it enhances the main story.
Just like I heard from reliable sources that the side story in Isom 1 was better than the entire book.
Yeah, I'm hearing kind of lukewarm reviews for that, which it's not bad for a comic these days. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and with the with the sense of entitlement that everybody has nowadays, that how dare you not write this for me?
Right.
If you open your mind and you can enjoy the story, I don't mind the story, but I don't want you to preach to me in the story. And the whole narrative from like Marvel and DC, well, there's always been politics in there. You might have touched on what the politics were, or what the issue of the day was,
right?
And then you let people put two and two together. You didn't jump on a microphone and start screaming in their face and spazzing out because as a woman, you thought I misgendered you as a woman, because not for nothing.
No, I'm picking up what you're putting down there. Yeah, no, it's the reactionary culture that's going on right now. It's pretty bad. People need to slow down for a minute, and it's okay to disagree. It's okay to discuss the science, but there's too much, assuredness of opinion. And confidence is good, but don't get penisy, kid.
Oh, it's just
I love the Family Guy Star Wars, as you can tell.
Oh yeah. What was it? Blue Haven?
Yeah.
Oh, Blue Harvest. Blue Harvest.
Yeah. Blue Harvest. I loved it. Yeah. Even though they said some jokes that I've been saying for years, like something dark side, something complete.
It's
great. It's like John Wick is, and then they killed his dog. Oh, thank you for telling that joke in a good way.
I would have never gotten that.
That movie is literally a meme, and I love it.
It's just so good.
It
what was like really hilarious is like I'm a big Liam Neeson fan. It's just fun for me as an older guy to see an older guy going around whipping ass and taking names. And
right.
And I've one of my guilty pleasures, Neeson-wise, is, of course, the movie Taken.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because in my mind, if I wasn't in the chair, that would be me every time I thought something happened to my daughter.
Right.
And it wouldn't be pleasant for anybody, right after I get out of prison. But
yeah, no, for real. I have my middle son is autistic, and so sometimes he will ask like the crazy, like, what if a killer broke into the house? Right? Or like a villain. Like he still refers to bad people as villains, right? And he's like, what if a villain broke into the house? And he's like, he's throwing me these curveball scenarios. like what if they're juggling a saber-toothed tiger and a chainsaw? Not like that, but that's my running joke. It's like, good Lord, Matt. I love you.
Well, at first I would sit back and enjoy the sideshow.
Right.
And then he would be dead.
Yeah, I would enjoy the sideshow, and then I would end it.
Like my one of my cousin's wives is, shall we say, very proper, and super left leaning, liberal from wherever she's from. But I taught, like when my daughter was really young, we used to do like different kids songs and stuff. And one day she heard this the Mockingbird Diamond Ring song.
Oh no!
Right. So she's singing it, and I almost drove off the road when she did. And if that mockingbird don't sing, it would be dead. Well, she did this at Thanksgiving at my cousin's house. And his wife was disgusted and mortified.
Aww.
And you need to tell your daughter why that's wrong. I go, but is it really? And she looks at me. I go, I'm sorry. You probably couldn't offend me if you tried. Like, I might get mad, but I wouldn't be offended, because you know what happens when you're offended? Nothing. You continue on with your life.
Right. Now you're just expending useless energy.
Yeah, it's like,
instead of trying to affect the positive change that you would like to.
Yeah, why are you so offended that you're being offended for other people when they don't care?
Yeah. Well, and sometimes a cigar is just a cigar.
Mm-hmm. Other times it's a spliff. It all depends what part of the town you're in.
Right. But yeah, no, I often find a lot of people try to read into things like way too far, and I'm like, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar, Mr. Freud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and once in a while, if you're having a cigar, you might also be having a cigar and scotch with at the bar with Billy Tucci and Graham Nolan.
Oh man, that's like life goals right there, man. I met Billy Tucci once. I think a couple of times, twice when I was a kid. He was at the WonderCon in Jack London Square, Oakland, California, before it moved down to Anaheim, right? It's like back in the early '90s. This is when she first came out, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he was like way cool, man, from the beginning, humble as heck, and just a really cool dude. Gave me a lot of great advice. And I'm glad to see that he's still the same awesome guy.
Oh yeah, he hasn't changed much at all. I still get excited because every once in a while he'll like on a post that I put up on Instagram or something.
Oh yeah. No, he's a fan too. That's a really awesome thing.
Yeah. Back in 2019, Hold on a second.
Mm-hmm. Hail, Hojo.
Hojo.
Good to see you, you magnificent bastard.
Hojo Jojo.
Hojo Jojo.
Oops, wrong show. Back in 2019 was the first convention I had gone to post-coma.
Mm-hmm.
And I was writing for Outright Geekery at the time.
Okay.
Which I no longer am, but I still am kind of like a point person for certain publishers they send me stuff and I just forward it to the owner's inbox.
Okay.
And I do that so, well, I can get free comics.
Hey,
it's not like a lie. And I once in a while I actually get I go, yeah, that was pretty good. I'll actually do like a 5-minute review on it or something.
Nice. Yeah. It's one of the reasons I come to this channel is to go find something new.
Oh, cool.
Oh, yeah, definitely. No, I love that. I'm always looking for new stuff. I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, which is renowned for its underground scene. I mean, like the stuff that comes out of there is just awesome, man. And the underground scene is pretty hopping. Well, it was when I was a kid. Of course, partially because you got that Haight-Ashbury, you've got Berkeley, and all these places that are ruined now. But where we've got a lot of counterculture. You know what I mean? Get weird stuff out of that. This like The Simpsons, Life in Hell.
R. Crumb.
Yeah, I'm glad to say that I've actually met him, and
wow.
He reluctantly and curmudgeonly reviewed my portfolio and gave me some of the best advice I will ever receive. And long and short of that advice is do it your own way and do it well. Give a damn what anybody else says you should do it as. He's a very cantankerous dude.
Oh yeah. So yeah. I had gotten press passes for Rhode Island Comic-Con. So I'm in southeastern Mass. So that's the closest one that at the time my transportation company would ferret me to. And I got in early. I had to go there on a Friday, which they were just open for like a few hours to actually get my press passes for the weekend. And then I had to go back, Saturday for the day and Sunday for the day. And I didn't have a power chair back then.
Right.
So it was difficult getting up a 90-degree ramp into where they had Artist Alley, because they took up the old Civic Center, which is adjoined to the Convention Center, which is adjoined to the hotel via Skybridge.
Okay.
But you have to go in through the Civic Center and move along from there. So it's a big to do. But that year, and I am so angry that I didn't buy anything from him, but I got to meet and have about a 45-minute long conversation with Neil Adams.
Oh yeah, no, good guy to talk to. A lot of wisdom. Just don't trigger him.
No,
very easily upset.
I already knew, from other people and people that I've talked to, even a certain mainstream inker, Scott Hanna.
Oh,
He was, because I had interviewed him in like an early show, and he was a great guy to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I go, yeah, I'm going I'm going to a convention. I'm going to be meeting Neil. Any words of wisdom? And this was like off air. He goes, talk about his favorite subject. And I just looked at the camera and he's like, his favorite subject is himself. I go,
Yep.
oh, okay. So I did that and, told him what a big impact he had, him and a few other people from DC had made on my childhood because I only had the spinner rack at the local family-owned pharmacy up the street from me.
Mm-hmm.
And there was another small chain pharmacy called Ben Franklin about 10 minutes down the road. But, as a 5-year-old, I wasn't allowed to traverse the main road. So,
Right.
Now all those Asbury hippies that fought against the man, they are now sponsored by Pfizer.
Yeah, dude. Dude, they sold out, man. They sold out worse than the hippies who became yuppies.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. That it's almost like the opposite of the old Ric Flair credo. To be
Right.
the man, you have to beat the man. Now it's to be the man, you have to just stomp your foot. So a lot of people a generation or two ago being like, oh my God, we are so screwed when these screaming kids from the supermarket grow up. Guess what? They did, and now they're in charge.
Yep. Oh yeah, no, dude. Yeah, it's positive reinforcement of negative behavior that's going on.
Oh yeah.
Too much of it, and it's like no.
Yeah, you should not get a trophy for just showing up.
Unless it's like really prestigious, like you were in the quarterfinals. Here's your quarter finalist. Like the honor roll. That's the closest thing you should get for.
But I mean,
for that, But like, yeah, I get what you're putting down.
If you made it in, it was like it was a team effort.
Yeah.
Unless you were on a team with Shaq or Kobe, then you were just there.
Yeah, you were there to cheer them on.
Yeah. Come on, Big Diesel. Now make sure at Christmas time you give me some of your stock options for Google.
Right. That's all I want for Christmas.
Because I want to be rich for doing nothing.
Right. Money for nothing, chicks for free, so on and so forth.
It's the American dream.
It is.
It's the new American dream. The old American dream would be, let me get out of this crazy country that wants to burn me at the stake for saying Bloody Mary 3 times in the mirror. And
right.
And let's dump some tea in the harbor. I would have never thought the place that the Revolutionary War started would be the same place that would spread so blue.
Right.
I'm like, we just want to get out of here and move, further south. And I hate the heat, but I'm like, I go, well, I'd rather hate the heat than, have to worry about, stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Because, defunding police, and it's like,
oh yeah, dude. Well, it's like I agree. Reforms, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
But these not to get too political for a moment, but I was like, dude, why are you voting for the current president? This guy loves the police. Like he's given them so much authority over the years. He loves the police. Why are you voting for him? Pick another one. I'm not saying don't vote blue. I'm just saying pick somebody else.
Yeah. Maybe pick somebody that, didn't say something like, this busing isn't going to work. I don't want my kids going to school in a jungle. What? It's like, no, but Trump's the racist. No.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, no, and I don't even have to get there. I just got to go. Yeah, no, look, this guy built the police state, and the vice president loves the police state as well.
And he loves putting people in jail for marijuana.
Yeah.
And so does the vice president, who uttered, "Nobody deserves to be in jail for weed." Really? Like the 1,200 people you put in prison while you were attorney general in California?
Yeah, for real. For real. No, for real. I was like, there are plenty of people to choose from. There are plenty of people to choose from. When you take the money out of politics, you know what I mean? Like, Citizens United needs to be revoked, in my opinion. It needs to be revoked because it is just done damage. It's almost as bad as the Department of Education. Because before the inception of the Department of Education, we were in the top 10 of the most educated nations in the world. Now we don't even make the top 50.
No, because it's just a...
They teach everything as a meme. Their educational method is flawed. And we've seen it twice with Common Core and New Math. Remember New Math?
Oh.
Yeah. I had to learn that. Then I had to unlearn it.
And Common Core was even worse. Like,
oh, for real.
My daughter was like astounded when she was little. How did you know that answer? Because I did it in my head.
Yeah, I didn't have to do all these extra steps and get a wrong answer doing them.
And all those extra steps were just to keep you occupied in a learning method to keep you occupied for life, doing 37 extra steps so you couldn't see what the right hand is doing.
Right. Yeah, no, I think the Department of Education should be really limited to oversight and capacity only, personally.
And the current teachers unions need to go away because...
Well, the big problem is that we're hemorrhaging money in the education. Like we're spending way too much on materials, on useless programs. There's a lot of waste. There's a lot of nepotism. There's a lot of crony capitalism up in there. And it's like, look, get these people out of office, get some competent people up there that actually know how to do math and can balance a budget and say, well, no, we're not going to buy that textbook. One, it's got too many typos. Two, you're charging way too much for that. One of the projects,
spending $100,000 on a screwdriver for the military,
right? And one of the projects that I have lined up over the next 5 years is to do historical comics. I have an actual U.S. historian, and he's also classic Mediterranean period historian as well. And we're going to do some historically accurate comics. We're starting off with Shays Rebellion.
Oh, nice.
Which is that's the original disgruntled vet movement, where it was like, hey, you promised us 5 shillings a month and 20 acres of land. Where's my land and my money? And the U.S. government just turned out its pockets and said, stand by to stand by. And a little 2-week rebellion led to a 4-month-long court trial. So we're going to do this as like a court drama. We're going to flash back to the battlefield. It's going to be all sorts of Perry Mason.
Oh, better Perry Mason than She-Hulk attorney at law.
Oh, no. No, and this is all like from court records, because he's a historian. He can go places that us mere mortals cannot go. We're not allowed to go touch these documents. You know what I mean? We're not allowed in the building unless we got to fill out a mile of paperwork and insurance forms, because we would sneeze in the wrong direction and destroy priceless history. But we've got copies of the documents, all the newspaper clippings and stuff like that. The cover of the book is actually going to be the newspaper clipping. We're gonna not directly specifically, but it's going to be like all the articles that pertain to that directly. So it's factual, but fictionally presented. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be a series. It's going to just be a short series of like a little graphic novel, or we have 2 proposals, and we've got the people lined up in the LA City Council, Los Angeles Unified School District. But I got to make money first, but and for a cheap price too. So that way you get real history and like tests, you know, something functional.
You can become the Tuttle twins of the comic book world.
Right.
Hojo says, cut federal funding to the Department of Education. Leave education up to the states.
Yeah.
50 states vying for the top spot. Competition breeds excellence. It sure as hell does.
Yeah, no, I remember growing up in California, we were always at odds with New York back in the late 70s, early 80s, because we were just like, no, we're the best at education. In Massachusetts, like, no, we're the best. And then, like, you had people, these states who were competing with each other. It was good. Competition is healthy, especially if you're competing for money.
Oh, yeah. Hojo says he sees it every day. Kids are taught what to think versus how to think. Yeah. Drink up, smoke up, refuse facts of nature, and believe the science unless it's chromosomes, because that's bullshit.
And let's not have an actual conversation about human psychology and biology and how that matrix interacts with each other and different social standards and ultimately just be good to each other. And nobody cares. Honestly, get to the point where it's not a deal. It's like, it's no different than anything. The thing we should get most serious about with each other is sports teams, and even then, not even that serious.
Yeah, it's like because you don't have anything really to do with a sports team. You're just a fan of that sports team, and 90% of the time, it's just your local team.
And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's like, you know what? Let's talk about something different. I don't want to talk sports teams anymore.
Unless you have a stake in ownership of that team, it's like you're psyched when they win the championship and you're kind of bummed when they don't. But then, you get to watch like regular TV and stuff for the next 2 weeks because it's not taken up by the championship run in your area.
I mean, it's, just equal treatment under the law. If something is available at a fair price, is legally obliged to be available within market regulations. Like our utilities are very poorly regulated these days. Utilities, but our utilities they fall into like this category. That there should be no difference. Rent, absolutely, because to do other paychecks, absolutely, because to do otherwise is actually in violation of existing federal laws.
Yeah, kind of like everything going up on the chart. I showed the video where it was showing nothing else increased, but the prices of everything.
Yeah,
food, energy. It was like, Top Gun did a G-force climb, and here we are.
Yeah. Well, and it's because it's not being properly distributed. People at the top are getting greedy. Yep. And it's like, look, dude, don't get greedy. When you take greedy out of the equation, and you pay people a fair wage, like Tank Fair Presents, my company, we are, we pay up front, and then we've got profit share on the back end to make sure that a Steve Ditko or a Jack Kirby never happens again. That these guys, when they finally pass, they're surrounded by hooker nurses. Mm-hmm. We're talking prostitutes with medical degrees. Because why? Because when Steve Ditko passed away, Spider-Man was raking in billions at the box office, and he was living in government housing.
Mm-hmm. And getting screwed for everything.
Yeah, living off of Social Security. And it's like, dude.
And do I dare bring up the name of Bill Finger?
Oh, poor Bill Finger, man. So that's one of the things. Like I've got a partner now. He's going to be my senior partner in this company, and we're going to be bringing it. 2023 is when we really start to get that ball rolling. We got a crowdfunder coming. Well, we got a couple of comics that are on sale. We're not doing any crowdfunders yet. We've got 0 to 12, which is a cyberpunk story that takes place in the jungle, and of the jungle of Central America, in the demilitarized zone between the Panama and Guatemalan canals. Super fun. And then we've got Paul Roper's 21 Demons, which is like Dragon Ball Z meets Abrahamic lore. Like the angels and the demons and all the end of days and stuff like that. It's got the protagonist Guy is a hybrid between angelic DNA, dragon DNA, and human. So that way, he's the ultimate representative of good. But he's got a learning curve. He's got a learning curve, man.
Oh, yeah.
Don't get penisy, kid. And his adversary is someone who's been biding their time, and they're ready to get this ball rolling. At the end of days, that they want to unlock the prophecy of the 21 demons so that Lucifer can reshape reality in his name. We hit the reset button. So everything is at stake here. So this hero better learn. He better learn quick. It's a fantastic book, 120 pages, full color. It's currently in final production, and then once it's formatted, we'll be going up for pre-sales on the retail version. That'll be a short period because we do want to get that a quick turnaround on that, and the collector's edition as well for that. And then I think it's we have a March. We have a March, what do you call it? Shelf date of March next year.
Mm-hmm.
So that means stores and people who pre-order will actually get theirs at the latest, January, February. Yeah. And of course, digital. Come on now, it's the modern age. Get with the digital.
That's digital is officially the Australian variant.
Right. I found a great printing company, by the way. There are two really good printing companies. One of them is in Sydney. The other one's in Perth. You just got to go look them up. Go to the local city directories and go look at the printing companies. Any city that is a major financial institutional city, especially like Sydney or Melbourne, they always have good printing services. They will not list that they can do comic books because it's not even on their radar. But you just talk to them. You know what I'm saying? That's for everybody out there. Oh, holy cow! Hex Allen out in the crowd. What's up, Hex? Nephilim Squadron. Love Nephilim Squadron.
Oh yeah, dude, I love that anime cover.
Oh, for real.
I'm like, dude, this is like Robotech Star Blazer stuff.
Yeah, right?
I'm in my jam again.
For real, I was like, dude, this is like Robotech Star Blazers, Space Above and Beyond, Battlestar Galactica.
The original one.
Yeah. I'm getting all the good vibes. I was like, if any of these fools bust out with some mega abilities, I'm calling in some Lensman action on that too.
Right.
Pardon me. I absolutely love it. And I'm a big supporter of Hex. I love him. He's a great dude. Produces quality content, and he's one of these creators that's been leveling up. So,
oh yeah,
like severely, like Bancroft and Vic King, Edwin the Ace, Sim Poitier, Tyler, Talk, Shabby. With the comic vestry, Otis Stein with Skinny. Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to work out a schedule thing so Edwin can come back on and talk Bloodbone, because that thing looks just badass.
Oh, for real. I've already got the ace on my Comicscape Mega Collage, so I'm just going to have to get Bloodbone on there as well. It's got to happen.
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah.
We're gonna break real quick for a message from our sponsor.
All right.
I will tell you that if you're one of the people that already backed this project, the books are in, and boxes will be going out soon.
War is a topic of vital importance, a subject of inquiry that cannot be ignored. It is a matter of life and death. It can be a road to safety or to ruin.
In an alternate version of our world, brought to the brink of total collapse, rival nations fight for global domination, and elite pilots in futuristic combat suits wage war on the battlefield of tomorrow. Now, 6 brave soldiers on a seemingly routine rescue mission will encounter more than they bargained for and uncover a dangerous secret that could change their world if they live long enough to see it. Mavericks Origins Volume 1.
Now on Indiegogo.
Ba-bam.
For real. I love that one.
And I'm so excited that the books are in. I'm happy for them. They can officially stop sweating.
Yeah.
Because in the Northeast, we're going into the cooler months, and sweating will get you pneumonia. So
That's right. That's
yeah,
right.
We don't want none of that.
Yeah, I now reside in Illinois. So
Oh, you poor bastard.
yeah, it's not too bad. I'm in a purple town, so
Oh, cool.
yeah, and they're more community based, so they're not very political. Although it is a university town, so you know that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but still.
but it's more A&M, so it is a little bit of a break.
So not too shabby.
Not
I-
too shabby.
I actually sold. I had bought the. I was collecting Thor again for a while,
Mhm.
and I had gotten the first appearance of Thor: Love and Thunder Tits in issue 1 there, and I'm like, oh my god, they're letting her be Thor. Why? I read it. It was an okay story, but it skyrocketed in price. I sold the entire run to a buddy of mine, and that bankrolled me getting the collector's box and the merch box for Mavericks.
Oh, there you go.
So I'm really not making any money. I'm just exchanging goods and services. I exchanged the goods that I had, and I put it right back into a service.
I think when that came out, because I walked away from mainstream comics in '97.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, I just got sick of it. I've read some things in the interim, like I rather enjoyed Son of the Bat, the trade paperback, and the Flashpoint trade paperback. I enjoyed Ethan Van Sciver as his run on Green Lantern.
Yeah.
That actually brought me back to reading Green Lantern for a little while. But mostly, I think at the time that Thor storyline was going on, I was reading Mouse Guard from, I think his name's David Peterson.
Yeah, great book.
Oh, dude, I was a junkie. I was just like like I was coming back. I didn't know what day it came out, so I'd come back every week to the store to check and see if the next issue had arrived. I was just like, "Yep, is your issue in? No, then give me a pack of magic cards. I'm out of here."
And why don't you sell bags and boards that fit Mouse Guard?
For real.
I've got a couple of books that are like larger than the Mouse Guard one, but in kind of like that same format, and it's of course Batman ones, but it's like some of them are like new pulp stories,
Right.
Using those characters, and others are just reprints of like the old comic strips.
Yeah. Well, and what's really sad is that when Disney acquired Jim Henson Studios, Henson was in the Henson Studios was in pre-production on a Mouse Guard.
Oh man!
And Disney buried it. They
did.
Yeah, they buried it, and I think part of the reason was that David didn't want to like part with his rights, and as well he shouldn't, because the most powerful word in all of entertainment is no.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I was still, regardless of that I was bummed out because I was really looking forward to that. I was like, oh, dude, that's gonna be the coolest thing ever. And I would still love to see it. Hey, if I ever get that kind of money, I'll make it happen.
Just imagine like a Dark Crystal version of Mouse Guard.
Oh man, for real.
Original Dark Crystal, not Netflix.
I didn't think the Netflix one was so bad. I enjoyed it a little bit. It didn't have the same rewatchability that the original Dark Crystal did, because it did have so much studio interference in the creative process. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it all okay.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, but like you said, it's like, okay, it's one of those things that certain movies have and certain movies don't have.
Yeah,
like
it's called Heart.
Yeah,
it's called Soul.
Yeah, like, somebody with a soul wrote the script.
It's like they took the soul of the script and tied it up like Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you sell yourself to the devil.
It was there, but it just wasn't allowed to come out. You weren't allowed to fully hear it. I was like, man, y'all were onto something here. But ultimately, you have failed the city.
Exactly. Yeah. Just like yet again, CBS refusing to air any of the Peanuts holiday specials.
Oh, I know. And
now somewhere I probably own them on like an all-in-one DVD, but after they broke the news again this year, of all things, Apple TV announced that even for non-subscribers, there will be a non-pay window open where during these dates they can watch the Thanksgiving special. During these dates, they can watch the Halloween special. During these dates, they can watch the Christmas special for free on us. And I'm like, oh, how special of you.
Right.
For a company that pays their workers 53 cents a day.
Right. One of the creators here at Tank Ferret Presents, that's his stuff's not coming out until hold on one second. I gotta nuke this. I have a phone ringing in my ear.
Oh.
And they need to okay, they did. They hung up. Thank you. I appreciate you. I will call you back.
Apparently they're not subscribed to the channel, otherwise they would know you were here.
Right. But yeah, so I've got a creator, and yeah, his day job is he works for Amazon, and he's in a rush to get out of that job, but the thing that's unfortunate, because I'm a bit of a stickler, like I said earlier, that I've got some work background on the production side, the leadership production side of projects. So you don't go to full production on a project till it's baked, right? It's got to at least have legs to stand on. And so, like, it's absolutely fantastic. This project is absolutely just awesome. And we're hitting full production in March. Should be available for August delivery. So we might do a crowdfunder on that one. It all depends on where we're at. What if we need to try and get some more infrastructure, or trying to release another product, because we've got tabletop games coming out. I'm bringing the pain to Games Workshop. That's all I'm gonna put that out there. I'm gonna bring the pain to Games Workshop with a buy-in point on a game that's much easier to play and much more nuanced at the same time, and with clear, defined rules, so you're not spending 30 minutes arguing whether or not A or B happened, or minutia of distance, right? Just get on and play the game and have fun. Yeah. And a replacement for hero clicks without the annoying clicky bit, where you could have everything from Pee Wee Herman to versus Steve Urkel all the way up to Goku versus Superman.
Okay, like, I love tabletop games.
Oh, sweet.
But until about a year ago, I didn't have anybody to play with. But now I have my lovely wife / girlfriend, and everybody goes, "Oh, is that your wife?" I go, "Yeah, back off."
Right.
And she likes games too. My daughter loves tabletop games, but she won't play with dad. Apparently, one, that's not cool anymore, and two, she likes to win, and I make it difficult. I'm like, well, you're not supposed to get a participation trophy when you're playing a game. And I taught you at a very young age, the first thing you need to know is family don't mean jack when you're playing Uno.
Wiser words have rarely been said.
Yes. So my daughter learned to play Uno, like a couple of other playing card games. And the other year for Christmas, I got her Exploding Kittens.
Ooh. Well, Omniverse Incursion, which is the name of our pocket game, so to speak, with the different hero figurines and just a couple of cards and a die, and it comes with its own terrain pieces, so you can actually play solo mode on that too.
Oh, cool!
You can play solitaire, essentially. And it is a lot of fun. Quick, easy to play, clear, defined rules. The point of the game is to have fun within a structured environment where dang near anything is possible. Right?
Nice.
The spirit of the game.
I remember the anything is possible format of the original Marvel superheroes role-playing game.
Oh, goodness.
Where Aunt May could actually move the Earth out of its orbit.
Yeah, well, and that's where point value comes in. A good solid. That's where game balancing really takes place. Is when you have one of these scenarios, like 40K or Warzone or War Machine, for tabletop strategy games, or like Hero Clicks, or the Star Wars little the Star Wars little space battles one that was out as well. The key thing is that you have to balance on points. The only errata that you should ever have to publish is, the point we change the point value for competitive play.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, we messed up. Turns out it's more OP or it's not as good as our math said, because that's the hard part, is developing the algorithm that says, well, this has a value, but people are going to break the meta. They're going to use this stuff in unusual ways. They're going to break it. And that's what we want to see. That's what we want to see. So we got World War Hell. That's 1942, September 1942. All hell breaks loose on Earth when portals to the Infernum open up in the nation's capitals around the world, and demons come pouring forth. Baby, we got Frankentanks, and that's every bit as awesome as it sounds.
Before you uttered the word Frankentanks, I was about to blurt out, and that's where Congress came from.
And that's where Congress came from. Well, and it plays into the lore too, because in order to open the portals, we find out pretty early on that they had infiltrators kind of, marking the spot, so to speak. And that's why it happened where the centers of government were around the world in September of 1942 at the height of World War II. Stalingrad has reached its peak. The battle for Stalingrad has reached its peak. It is most desperate. And just when things are most desperate, now you got hordes of demons come rolling in. So it's an open table strategy game like Warhammer 40K.
Mm-hmm.
It's got deep lore. We're coming out with box sets with I think the big starter box set that gives you like a decent sized army for 2 different sizes, so it's for 2 to 4 players for $100, right? And like a 1-player full starting pack, about $50, and same thing with the 1 to 2 player starter pack that comes with 2 different sides. For about $50 to $70. We're still trying to get that one nailed down. Right. And it comes with everything you have to play. And if you want to spend more money, cool. We got deluxe editions too. They come in cool boxes, and everything's all like pretty sorted and whatnot. But the inexpensive ones, they just come in really durable boxes. That's very much like your classic game box. It's got like those compressed cardboard slotted dividers where all the stuff where the cards get stuck underneath.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, we're bringing that price down because you get the box set for Warhammer 40K. It's like over $200, and it comes with 2 mediocre forces. And
then when you're like, I really need a this or I really need a that,
right?
And you're like, it's $250 just for that?
And you have to have a headquarters unit and 2 troops in order to play the game. But that's because their point system is bad. I mean, it's not like Palladium combat rules bad, but it's bad. It's really bad.
It's based on how much money you can spend.
Yeah, and they're
and stay married.
Yeah, and they're constantly changing the statistics and not balancing on the points on the back end. Mm-hmm. Their point system is it's not good. And it's a simple app. Everybody's electronic these days. So we got a pen and pad in there to help you keep track if you're like a dinosaur. But for everyone else, there's a QR code on the inside that you can just scan with your phone and grab the app real quick, and it's your nice little assistant.
I would be the dinosaur that would scan the QR code because
right?
Math is hard, and I would rather play more than sit and be like, okay, somebody go out and get pizza. This is going to be a while. I can do math.
And it's simple. It's simple math too, because when you think about it, it all breaks down to measure, countermeasure, countermeasure. That's it. If your gameplay on a tabletop game, looking at you, Games Workshop, has you rolling like 5 phases, looking at you, Palladium, and you're trying to resolve something really quick, you're bogged down for 10 to 15 minutes trying to figure out between like a fight between, say, like 30 to 40 figurines that are arranged into 2 or 3 units, 2 to 4 units. And it's like, dude, That's way too long. And then you spend another 30 minutes fighting about the rules and about measurements. We've got some new measuring tools for the starter kits too. That's the thing about the starter kits, is because we want to get them into like games, into like actual, like into Walmart and stuff like that eventually. And that's why we're trying to bring the price point down and still deliver a quality product. Like, here's everything you need to play the game. It's simple cleanup, simple setup. It's got little cardboard tokens to help you keep track and throw your enemy off as well. Demon princes versus some of the most legendary armies that are jacked up on a need to encounter a new type of enemy, like mixing and matching tank parts and new units. The armies of the world that have special abilities that make them absolutely unique. Like the United Kingdom Commonwealth has the best assortment of special forces from around the world. They've got Gurkhas, they've got Sikhs, they've got Bushmen, they've, you know, like that's one of their big things is like, oh, you asked for infantry. What flavor, dear chap?
Yeah, really.
We've got the Africa Corps. Yeah, they're super fast, and they're little Franken tanks that, like, we took out the main gun and we replaced it with like a quad 20 millimeter anti-air cannons pointed forward because, you know, hordes of demons.
And where the original tank cannon was, we've replaced it with a Cessna airplane engine, so it can move.
Right? Yeah. No. And that's something for further down the line, because we do actually want to bring in air combat, so that way you get your little aerial type of thing. Even a fun, like, kind of like Axis and Allies, like simple, like family board game, where people could pick like different sides and you got like little special abilities. Because we've got like Leviathan is the demon prince that invades London. The first box set's called London Falling, even.
Wow.
And it's fantastic. We've got incredible demon designs from many different artists. And we've put a decent amount of capital into this so far. We've put a decent amount of capital. I think probably about $7,000 or $8,000 has been spent developing this project.
Now, the one question I have to ask you, game-wise, is there's a local game store to me that has 3 locations in the Mass area.
Okay.
And the general manager now started out as just the store manager at the one closest to me.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's not 100% knowledgeable in all the games, then he knows a little something about all of them. And if not, there's somebody else hanging around the store that knows everything about that
love
game.
That.
But the one thing that got me, and you named it in the price point, that some of these games, like even some of like the single player games, like a deck building game, for instance.
Oh yeah,
is
$30 to $40 buy-in.
Is like, well, like, you know, if they're not on sale, you might be looking at like, you know, $50 for like, you know, one of the starter kit. And if you want like the deluxe edition of like the Marvel game that came out that took off like crazy, it's like, you know, it's like $199. I'm like,
yeah,
it's a game.
And those and the people
here, most of which have never been opened.
And the people who did the logos, who did the typesetting, who did the artwork, who shaped those models, none of them got a piece of that pie.
Nope.
That's where Tank Ferret Presents comes in, because those people, hey, we make a profit. The company gets paid when first we pay off our debt, right? The debt for the project, and then after that, when the company receives its first paycheck, so does everybody who worked on the project. Nice. And so, and that's where the royalties kick in. That's where royalties for licensing kick in after, you know, licensing fees. That's where the licensing royalties kick in as well. So that way, that's fair. And it's not what the industry standard is. The industry standard is very predatory, and people seem okay with it. And I'm like, no, we're just perpetuating the beast, my friend.
Yeah.
Let's get some good, fair business in here, and happy employees promote their company. They promote their product. They're like, oh yeah, no. See, you see that little, you see that superhero character over there from Vicious King Comics. You know, Vicious Inc. Comics, Big Kings, right? Because Beowar is gonna be in the Omniverse Incursion thing. We're working on that. We've got a bunch of other, like, it's gonna be fun. I know it's crazy talk, but you know, we got it. Like, it's the Omniverse Incursion, not the multiverse. It's all the universes, all these different universes, that even universes that aren't supposed to interact with each other. Well, you know what? You, the fans, can interact with it. You may never read a book with these two big characters crossing over, but you can make your own adventure. And we've got collectible, like, land plates, and every character comes with a signature base, which can be used as a starting point or as an end point, as a goal point. You can collect special goal points. So there's beat packs. We got Gachapon too, for cheap. We're looking at like retailers being able to sell an $8 Gachapon that they paid like $5 for. You know, so good profit margin on the retailer side, and with lots of fun little figures that are beautifully modeled, definitely up to the highest standards that you see out there with these gorgeous crowdfunders. Oh my goodness, some of these crowdfunders, for especially the ones that are legally distinct yet similar to, like that quality, spared no expense.
I'll buy that for $1.
Hey, you know, and we want to do what, you know, Games Workshop once a month gives out a free mini, right? We want to be able to do that too, and that takes investment capital. That takes an incredible marketing. Now, this is the rub. It's like, yeah, you can put all this infrastructure together, and you'll lose your shirt, right? It can be the greatest thing since sliced bread. You're going to lose your shirt if you don't have solid marketing. So the marketing firm that I've got lined up to do all our social media promoting, to get eyes on direct traffic to our social media, right, is used by some of the biggest name drops in that you know and you see on social media these days. So it ain't cheap. It ain't cheap. The investor is the guy who's buying in, who's going to be my senior partner in this company. You know, he's going to, over the next 5 years, he's going to be dropping a few $1 million just to get this thing started, but legitimately. And that's why when people go, oh, Ethan Van Sciver and Eric July, they made so much money, why don't they have an empire yet? And it's like, oh, dude, $10 million is not enough to start a company.
Nope.
Not on the scale that you really want to see.
Yeah.
Why they do organic marketing too, is so that they can bring that price point down and have enough infrastructure to even warrant more marketing. You know, it's a brutal game.
Yeah, because I mean, I remember looking around and being like, you know, back before I got sick, I was making what I thought was good bank, and then it turns out to be like, you live on that? I go, yeah.
Yeah.
He goes, I got to work 3 jobs. I go, why? He goes, because I'm married and we have 5 kids. I go, well, you know.
Yeah. I'm married. I have got a full Brady bunch, and it ain't cheap.
Nope.
Even when it is cheap, it ain't cheap.
Nope. My 14-year-old needs braces for a second time.
Oh no.
On the bottom. And
yeah, my 5-year-old going for another round of dental surgery.
So am I.
Yeah.
What's funny is that if she lived with me and was on my insurance because I'm disabled, that would have been, pretty much free.
Yeah.
But because she's supposed to live with her mother,
Right.
and she lived with me up until I fell ill, and it hasn't been until like the last year or so, and I'm still like battling affliction. So, but I'm more in a place like, I'm just going to go to the hospital. I'll be back in a couple hours. They're not going to want to keep me. There's too many people thinking they got COVID because they sneezed on the way to the market today.
Oh, dude. For real.
That's the quickest way to clear out a store nowadays, though.
It's like, oh, there's the last packet of Funyuns. Achoo! It's mine now.
Or better yet, you walk into an aisle and there's like 17 people like all triple masked, and you just pull your own finger to, because I always say better out than in, and you let one you let one rip, and now it's trapped underneath all those masks. So there's people like running out to fresh air and ripping their masks
I love
off.
it.
And I'm like, ain't it grand? So this game thing is going to be a huge, huge venture.
Yes, and this is our spearhead. This is our primary operation because what's coming with every product, we go back to the beginning of the show, what got me into comics. Those comic books that came with the He-Man figures.
Mm-hmm.
So we're putting like little 8-page comics in all the packages. Little tiny like 3-panel strips in with the gachapon. It's going to be comics everywhere on the back end, right? Eric July brought a bunch of people who are interested in liberty and small government into buying a bunch of comics. He expanded the market, right? Ethan Van Sciver brought a bunch of people into comics because they were upset about being discriminated against because they voted for somebody the other person didn't like, right? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go out into the games. And that's where I'm going to go grab a bunch of people. And we're going to put our best foot forward with this. And with something that's fun to play, easy to learn, with, you fluff out the rules in a nice big rule book, but then there's a little appendix back there called the rules, the rules in simple language, right? And it's just written out in that format style that the rules for Risk are laid out. So it is ironclad on the back end.
So you have the big rule book, and then you have the Cliff Notes.
Yeah, Cliff Notes are are one of the is going to be an appendix. So
I love Cliff.
So that way it's just super simple, with a glossary, and with a table of contents, broken down a couple of different, or I should say, indices in the back, broken down different ways. Like, well, okay, I want to look up this kind of stuff. I want to look up this kind of stuff. I'm looking for lore, or I'm looking for rules, and I need more of an explanation on the rules, right? I want to see some examples. Okay, cool. Well, that's all in the appendix right there. Here's the rule. Here's example A, which is on page 53. Here's example B on page 74 and 75. Stuff like that. All right, and it's a lot of work. We're hiring a bunch of artists. We're hiring a bunch of artists for the project, so that way we've got that fun. We're hiring everything from like seasoned professionals to up and coming people up and coming out of the amateur world, because it's like, look, I love that style. I think it's great. Here's your resource material. I want a picture within these parameters. Have fun, like get crazy with it. Have as much fun as possible. We want to inspire players to customize their units, to get funky with that cheese whiz, as the phrase goes.
Now, one of the most important parts, because outside of game stores, a lot of people have limited space to play a tabletop game.
Yep.
So what's the
Oh, it comes with a board on the inside. Each starter set comes with a couple of boards,
Okay.
and they're broken down on a hex grid.
All right.
So
So you don't need like an 8x20 lunch table from your local high school.
I mean, you ideally, yeah, you totally want
Well,
to do that. But
yeah.
if you're like, say, at a coffee shop and you've only got a little bit of room, you're like, okay, well, let's just do, small point battle. Pick your units, man. Pick my units. Which board do you want to use? I got a couple of them. They fold up, so they fold in half because of the smaller starter set. The 1 to 2 player starter set is a smaller box, and so that one would come with one, and then the larger starter set, the 2 to 4 player starter set, would come with at least 2. I mean, just thinking about like just the size of the box. And another thing is that we will be offering digital products. So if you're a hobbyist and you've got a 3D printer at home, why would you pay $1,000 to build the most epic army? We can just buy one of each.
Where you can just buy the STL files off of us and run it yourself. And now 3D printers are kind of affordable again.
We have OBJ file. We'll have OBJ files and STL files that already have it's already set up for an optimized print. So it's plug and play.
Yeah, it's
like just make sure your bed temperature is good and that your machine is set up properly, but the structure on that is good. We've wasted a lot of money making sure that print comes out perfectly every time.
Yeah, and it takes a while to make anything. So it's like, well, I'm going to start this right after I have my morning coffee, and I'll see where it is around dinner time.
Yeah, and we are going to get into the world of injection molding in the long run. But those machines ain't cheap. They start at about $120,000.
Yeah.
But that is like at that point, like when we get to that point, hopefully in 5 years, we'll get to the point. We've got a dynamic marketing campaign. We have a few short films that are in production right now. Shooting actually starts in a couple of weeks on those. Yeah, man, we're bringing it, dude. We are bringing that. We are taking a dump inside of a paper bag, putting it on Games Workshop's front porch, lighting it on fire, then standing across the street under the street lamp, slowly smoking a cigarette, staring them down as they try to stomp it out.
As we play a little Ding Dong Ditch.
Oh,
Winnie the Pooh style. The horror movie. The horror movie, not the old storybooks.
Yeah, exactly. Just standing across the street, just giving that 1,000-mile stare. Even though, we don't smoke, but we're smoking a cigarette now because it's for thematic effect. Well, I smoke, but most of the other staff doesn't. So I'm that guy who has to go outside every hour. Yeah, so we're really a lot of work went into this, a lot of infrastructure, a lot of business stuff that is ultimately very boring for folks, but go check that out. That kind of stuff on Valuetainment. They do talk about how to set up your company, how to get the legal paperwork in place. The contract lawyer that we've got does gorgeous, non-hostile, ironclad agreements under the original pretext of the purpose of the contract being to protect the interests of all parties involved, right? Mm-hmm. And make sure that this is a fair deal. This is actually, as my senior partner put it, he said the thing that really got me was that it had good math and it's the fairest deal in all of entertainment. He's been working in entertainment with insert name drop and top upper percentile of insert platform of entertainment. And so we think we got something going on here. And we think this is good. And so we've got the 3-year experiment. You know what I mean? Like 3 years, let's turn a profit. Let's make it happen. and we're debuting at the London Film and Comic Book Exposition Festival. That's it, the London Film and Comic Expo Festival next year.
Oh, wow.
Which is Games Workshop's home turf.
Ooh.
So we're coming out and picking a fight with the biggest dude in the prison yard. And this guy has not been nice to the other people in the yard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's kind of like, hey, motherfucker.
Oh, and it's fully compatible with the Omniverse Incursion. So you could take a variety of. I can't release who we have yet, but you can take some of your favorite indie comic characters and see how they do against a World War II company or a horde of demons. You can have fun because it's the Omniverse Incursion. It's stories that never were. They happened, but they never happened. You know what I'm saying? They don't interfere with continuity. It doesn't touch a creator's thing. This is where all those, even like the weirdo fans, can go have fun over here.
I did see, and I was following them for a while. It's just their price point was a little steep for me for a role-playing game, like a role-playing book. And I know how much money these things cost to make.
Yeah.
And how much licensing fees and this, that, and the other thing.
Dude, especially if it's a licensed IP. Oh, Lord.
They had gotten a whole bunch of different IPs. And the one that stuck out to me was The Crow. And then I saw Highlander.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, snap.
See, that's the crossover I want to make happen.
And there were a bunch of other ones too. But those were the Crow was the one, like old school caliber comics Crow. And I'm just like, damn.
That's cool. I love that.
And the way they wrote up is the whole thing was that, you're creating your own story and all these different characters can exist in the same universe.
Yeah. And for fun, I was translating other systems to the Stratego Maximus system that we're using for Omniverse Incursion and World War Hell, and a couple other board games that are in pre-development right now. But still, that way you could just play with each other, right? Just it's plug and play, simple. And I went and I translated what a Space Marine actually would be, not the Games Workshop rules, but I translated a Space Marine from lore into this system because the Games Workshop, it does not portray Space Marines on the battlefield properly. Primaris Marines are closer to an actual just generic Space Marine rules wise, right? And dude, it was great. I mean, it was about an even match between one Space Marine and a small World War II combined arms company. One dude, and it's funny. It's like, holy cow, man! Makes you put scale like really in. So if you had, say, hypothetically, a character like, say Pitt, right? A big hulking brute. He is bulletproof. Like the only thing that gives him pause for concern is a 50 caliber API. You know what I'm saying? Like something that can break. He probably has like a full on stopping power of like 4A. You know what I mean? And so like, yeah, no, having him probably like 4B, but But have him go up against, say, a bunch of Roman legionnaires. How many Romans would it take to stop a pit?
All of them.
Right? Is it even possible?
Probably not.
Right? Is it even possible? Because there are some caveats to the point system where it's like, look, if there we call them red flags, right? And if you see red flags, it means that there's no amount of point balancing that can make this fair.
Even if you had Achilles standing with the
right.
Roman soldiers.
Right. Yeah. Well, if Achilles has his mythical weapons, and he has a bunch of, Myrmidons with him, and that would be a heck of a fight, but mostly because Achilles is running an Operation Human Shield.
Yeah.
Quick, jump in front of the danger for me. All right, now I'm gonna see if I can get in some kidney stabs. See if we can perforate this kidney.
Mm-hmm.
Wear him down, beat him up. This guy's got a lot of hit points. How many dice has he got up here? Oh, 2, because we're using 10-sided dice, so it doesn't matter if you're playing say you had like Goku versus Superman. Okay, cool. Well, say hypothetically they have 1 million hit points, something ridiculous, right? All right, well, that's 7 dice. Honestly, you need 6. You could just start at 999, 9999, right? And just say, yeah, it's +1 because I'm still at perfect health. You know what I'm saying? So 6 dice to keep track of how many hit points does Goku have. And that honestly, and that's not how this system would work, but just say worst case scenario, like, oh, okay, this is the Trinity or Galactus. You know what I mean? Like some cosmic power of incomprehensible durability, Cthulhu. Something you don't destroy, you have to find another way to beat it because you're never going to deplete its hit points. Kind of thing. Yeah, no, we could even play that game. So that way you could have Cthulhu versus Galactus.
And then you hear me scream, how the hell with 10 dies did I get a crit fail?
And the great thing is like, no matter what, unless you've got like a high rate of fire, right? Some kind of like rapid attack, then you're just rolling 1 die per figure most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Makes it just real simple. Some of them have like, okay, if they do hit, they get ×2 hits automatically. Like most figures just fall like that. Like, no, it hits twice. It's a big deal because, it's essentially double damage, but it's figured against, a target's toughness too. Some targets have damage reduction, where it's like, no, Pit, you can't hurt Pit with those weapons because he has, say, -2 damage reduction. So you're going to have to do 3 points of damage to even hurt the guy. Anything less than that, he's just like, yeah, dude. So as I was saying, don't make me bite your head off and crush your skull.
Yes.
Not necessarily in that order.
Bring your spine hither. I need to sharpen my nails.
Right? Come here. I want to draw something. I'm going to use you as the crayon. And I want NASA to see it from the space station. But yeah, no, we take that into consideration because we want imagination to be the limit, ultimately. That, okay, cool. So you do have, and it's all 1 to 60 scale. Everything is 1 to 60 scale. So 1 inch equals 5 feet imperial standard. And yes, this system is on the imperial standard unit of measurement because anything to not do metric. And so it's a convenient scale. It's easy to do math on that, right? So if it's 20 feet tall, it's 4 inches tall. If you've got a 100-foot tall mech, that's 20 inches tall. That's almost 2 feet. But it's the scale. You got something like Godzilla at 300 yards tall, almost 1,000 feet tall. Dude. That's ridiculous.
That's going to be
Why
a
are you
huge STL file.
right? But it's like, why would you do that? Just no, it doesn't happen. We're gonna play it on the different scale, where we got the little tiny dots, because that's what it would take to fight a Godzilla that's 1,000 feet tall. So you can go with the classic 300-foot tall Godzilla, right? That's That's 300. It's 60. It's 5 foot tall. It's a 5 foot tall statue. Can you imagine playing that game though? You've got all these superheroes like going up against a 5 foot tall Godzilla mock-up. It would be easier to move the terrain. You have to rent out a whole convention hall just to play one game.
It would be like, okay, get your army, and I'm gonna go to Andy's house and borrow his HasLab Galactus and be right back.
Right, exactly, dude, and that would be so much fun. That could be a whole convention event where we just got a couple of drones that kind of pick up figures and move them around.
Mm-hmm.
And just have them fly over, go pick it up. I mean, they're not cheap. Those are like $600-700 drones. But dude, if we can afford a 5 foot tall Galactus or Godzilla or Cthulhu, I think we can afford a couple of drones. But that's all fantasy talk. That's all fun talk.
Yeah.
Whatnot. But that is like the attitude though, is that the sky's the limit. We want you to have fun. We implemented in the competitive gameplay rules that homegrown models are absolutely accepted. And they can be eligible for judging in model contests. Like, cool. This is way off brand. It's beautifully done. So yeah, it might win best paint job. But it's, it might be ineligible for best paint job, but it's like, the model's like too off brand or something like that. It might not win the Canon contest. You know what I'm saying? But it could win like the best painted, the most beautiful, best sculpted. You know what I mean? Best model. And
they really like me. They really do.
Yeah, and be able to play in competitive gameplay because, like, Games Workshop forgot its own rule that they had for the longest time. To get proxy. Like, I could take my Warzone, Mutant Chronicles army and say, yeah, no, these guys are, Space Marines. And these guys count as this unit. These guys count as that unit. These guys count as that unit. They're their own chapter. And just have fun. But they don't let you do that anymore.
They forget about the fun part and are just concerned with how much they can fleece their customers.
Yeah, no, and their product sales are going down, and we're going the opposite direction. We're like, okay, well, how many units can we move? Right, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to move the maximum number of units, and just get it into people's hands. Like, low buy-in points as well. Like, have a board game, have a small set where when you get together after a long week and just bust out the box and go have fun, or bust out your custom boxes and set up the terrain pieces, or pull out your favorite hex or square map, right, from another game that's just on a 1H scale. And have fun.
You could actually literally have a Hex-Allen map.
That's right. Now we got to have a Hex-Allen, big picture of Hex-Allen underneath. Him smiling. like a giant garden that just makes Hex Allen's face.
He was on one day, and I'm like, there's something off about Hex, and I couldn't figure it out. He had one of his mom's wigs on.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And I'm like, dude, he goes, I'll just take it. No. You've got that Derek Wildstar hair.
That's anime as hell, man. Keep it up.
Keep it going.
Stuff. Absolutely.
But that's a lot.
It is, and this is the reason why I don't have a book out yet. Is that I've been building this. I've looked for partners in the last few years, and stuff either they've walked off, fallen off, or effed off, and it finally came through. It's finally coming through. It's no longer an if, it's a when, and it looks like we're going to be hitting like full production come spring, in time to release our first round of products in like summer or early summer, and then World War Hell will be making its debut in fall with London Falling box set, and 3 months later we're going to have the Red Winter box set with the Soviet Union versus another Demon Prince, Marcosia, and then in March we're going to have Springtime of the Rising Sun with the Empire of Japan versus Lilith, and we're then we're topping off the War on Earth with Star Spangled Summer, which is the USA versus Beelzebub.
Nice.
Yeah, and then the really cool stuff happens. That fall, that holiday season, that's when like the ultra deluxe kind of collectors thing, you have like the really cool collectors version of it, box set comes out, and that one is straight Angels versus Demons, the two armies that we are going to tease at, and of course they are absolute fan service because they are most people's favorites. They're the ones that most people know, and it's the ultimate rivalry, the favored sons. Oh yeah, baby, it's going down.
Galidnico in Tokyo.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. It's what's really fun too is it's also a story. That is like the full first year of literally hell breaking loose on Earth, and it's going to have full stories. We've got projects set up to go to streaming services, so the pilot episodes are in the works for that, for various things, because I've also got this Scalpel Zero is coming out. That's Apex Predator, prologue to Retribution. Then after that comes out, then we can go into Retribution, the year 2065, when the world as we know it now changes and becomes a world that is more familiar to those who are fans of cyberpunk. We watch the world change before our very eyes. What is it, as they say, centuries can go by where only decades worth of stuff can happen, and decades can go by, or centuries can go by in decades. Something of that sort. I know I'm terribly paraphrasing that, but it's one of those moments, the singularity that a lot of writers talk about. That's something that's fascinated me. We've got 21 demons. We got something that's going to grab the SCP, smack them around the room, and then wander off going, yeah, never heard of her.
Oh, you mean something like this?
Let me get to the StreamYard. What you got there? Yes, sir. Yeah, there we go. The prologue to Retribution, 0 to 12. Three-act story with an interlude. 0 to 12, 0 to 3, and 0 to 21. Good cyberpunk action. As we see Scalpel Zero, a prototype cyber droid who's been online for about 10 years, Cyberdroid being a biosynthetic and artificial component android, or the second definition would be a robot with an organic processing unit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she's been online for 10 years, and all the legalities regarding production are done. So the new units are coming out, and we pick up where she is being field tested against these new units to see how, because they already know how she works. She's the apex predator. This is the nastiest thing in the concrete jungle, and they're going to test it in various environments against the new ones. So Act 1 is a jungle adventure and a war zone. Act 2 is a murder mystery, actually. And Act 3 is one of those just delicious cyberpunk-esque, we got to go do some high-tech black ops, corporate nastiness. There's going to be some murder involved. And it's going to be great. About 200 pages in all, 10 issues, 3 acts. That's going to be fantastic. 21 Demons is coming out. That one's got over 120 pages, full color. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I'm excited, man. We got a decent group of creators back here, and working on their stuff. We have talent working on these projects like Ali Senguis and Kimosabi.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Brian Lee Carver. They are instrumental in some of these projects going on, man. So you know it's good. It's good.
My computer's freezing up.
Oh, well, here I can do this as well. Yeah. No, that's the wrong one. I wanted to go to that one. There we go. All right, so let me get this into place. And then get back to this and say, oh, what? StreamYard, come on now. There we go.
Okay, that's better.
Yes. Yeah, so we got the cover right there. That's the original cover, the falling cover. We got page 1. Of course, none of the words are on here yet. Like I was saying before the show, I got the script back a little over a month ago. I'm finishing up the artwork for the entire project, and I'm going to put in lettering. Make sure that's all correct way, and then that's got to go back to a visual editor to make sure that the lettering is properly, the eye flow is good, because the script's been edited to piss, so we're good. Page 2 and 3 right here. Zoom in here. I spent years doing storyboards, which really helped with visual storytelling, getting a sequence of events concisely posted and whatnot. Simple, easy to follow kind of. Oh, that's the wrong one. There we go. So run it, jumps out. A little expletive. This is not for kids, by the way. None of these are for kids. Mostly in the prologue to Retribution, mostly due to language. And there's no gore porn, but there is some excessive violence. Right? So not exactly suitable for kids. There will be a censored version that will come out that's got all the nasty words kind of bleeped out. And that'll be for young readers. That'll be for your not, I wouldn't say young reader, but because that definition has changed now. The young readers used to be a lot older.
Yeah, I used to be a young reader once upon a time.
Right, but for your shonen, shinin crowd, your teenagers, tweenagers, and whatnot, it'll be all right for them. And then, yes, a little nod to the crack pack up here in the explode sound effect. I love their energy, and I love the fact that they're pushing out comics. I really get into I love stark contrast sometimes. It works great for certain bits of storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was originally going to crowdfund this book at 48 pages, but then I was like, you know what? No, and this was going to be the drawn-in tier, which this person appears quite frequently through the first and second book. This first and second issue, this corporate executive right here. But I was like, you know what? No, I got to go back and draw it again. It's Scalpel Girl. So happy. So utterly pleased with herself. This has ramifications, by the way. She ain't no Mary Sue. And knowing that, she just obliterated them by luring him into a trap. I mean, as she looks up with wonder upon the chaos that she has wrought, she has just destroyed everything. And, a little bit of annoyance in her eye as 12 comes running up behind her. And, but that attitude switches around pretty quick to almost a psychotic level of overconfidence. And 12 is like, no, dude, for real, you were way off mission on that. That was really bad, stupid, and talking down, prototype, you should be retired, so kind of talk, I sourced a lot of bots and did a lot of researching on how artificial intelligences do talk to each other. Mm-hmm. When coming up with the dialogue. So when I put the dialogue actually, and that's a spoiler for people who get the book, I know I'm not gonna, not a spoiler, but that's for people who get the book. You get to read it. Everyone else just gets to look at the pretty pictures. And of course, this once again, ramifications. That big nasty that we saw shooting at her here, lurking in the background there. It's just going to bring a lot of trouble. So, and this is the alternate cover right here. Still a little bit of work in progress, as you can see. That's a little something special for the audience out here in TV land.
I'm actually not seeing anything besides.
Oh, really?
The original Falling cover.
Oh my goodness gracious! This OBS update is I'm not having it. Okay, so let's. Well, yes, you watch. Yes, so yeah, we got the original cover right here. I have to expand this out now. So we got the opening shot right here. This is the title page, where we're going to have all the cool stuff, and then good, nice visual storytelling. I hide a lot of details in here too. Of course, being a little reckless has its disadvantages. Got to stop down the hill, and then a little twang of a trip line, and a nod to the crack pack over here with a giant crack home.
Bow.
Bow indeed, good sir. Bow indeed.
Bow is also an action that might keep that landmass from taking your head up.
Right. And of course, Zero's got to, after they went down the slope, they had to go check out what they see. Look at that look of wonderment in her eyes. As it is just obliterated, and an obvious little bit of displeasure as 12 comes running up from behind, look at that psychotic level of overconfidence from the prototype, who honestly hasn't been given much of a challenge in a few years. So this has led the machine learning algorithms to kind of develop a little bit of a penisy attitude. And as we all know, you don't get a penisy, kid.
Yeah, don't be a dick.
Yeah. And 12 is running up, like, obviously, like, some serious, like, are you just fucking kidding me? Like, come on now. Like, yeah, you know what? You messed up. You're sloppy. You should be retired. And that Borg, and here we come back, that Borg that was on that previous page right here, the one shooting at her here and lurking in the background, that's gonna lead to a lot of trouble. And I even though I don't do, like, not every page, has the bleed over from page to page, I do work in patterns like this because this is how you're going to see it. When you open that book, this is what you're going to see. So this really plays a big part in visual storytelling, because a lot of people just treat pages like individual pages. And I'm like, well, these two pages that are going to be next to each other, even though you have to, when you're formatting for printing, you got to split them up throughout the book. Like, this is what the audience is going to see here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm one of those people that I will visually read your story first. And if I cannot tell the story from that, right, or at least infer the gist.
That panel right there on the right-hand side has some definite shades of Blade Runner.
Oh, which one?
The original one. Well, the panel to the right with the
hold on, let me get up my get up my thing here. Here we go. Which one?
Off to the right.
Off to the right.
Right there.
This one? Oh, okay, yeah.
Between the two. It's kind of like, the new version versus Daryl Hannah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You got Zero up here on top, who is just so full of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And 12, this is Scalpel 12, whose nickname is The Professional, because it's by the book, it's done right, where you don't do it at all. And has been instrumental in guerrilla counter operations against the Venezuelan government, who in 32 marched straight through, taken about half of Colombia, and moved all the way up to the Panama Canal, which forced Mexico to move all the way down to the Panama Canal. That's the first Panamanian conflict. Mexico consuming its neighbors, incorporating them into the Commonwealth of the Yucatan, and building. And what sparks the second war is that they build the Guatemalan Canal. Now, in history, that was the other place we were going to build a canal, down there.
Yeah,
Guatemala. So they built the Guatemalan Canal, and now Venezuela's like, well, then why are you still on our doorstep? We got this land in between. So, we're going to push all the way to your doorstep. And they're still kind of pushing on each other's doorsteps to this day, but kind of keeping the trade lanes open. Yeah, it's a different, it's Trotsky's Soviet Union, not Stalin's. Yeah, so there's a lot of little fun little bits, but I tell that stuff story wise, and it will have a good rereadability, because there will be details in the background. There will be no details drawn without purpose. That's probably one of the best things I can say about my visual style of storytelling, is that there's no detail without purpose. Right.
So now this is a question I have to put to you. So, game-wise,
yes,
you will have a mini comic like He-Man and like the superpowers stuff, except those were like the mini comics.
Yeah, like something that just kind of expands upon what you got in front of you.
But in the big sets, like not when you come out with like the master set for all 4 of the quarterly ones going into first year production, but like in those big box sets, instead of like a little 8-page comic that goes with this certain band of figures and that certain band of figures, will there be like a full floppy in there?
Yeah, like a good 16, maybe 16 to 24 page book would definitely go in that. And of course, with like any of the rule books, that would have some storytelling in it, because it just helps it can help the player come up with their own story. If they can read a little bit of story, maybe they want to play in the canon universe. Maybe they want to make their own universe where their army is Hello Kitty. I lost to the Hello Kitty army once, the Space Marines. I was very embarrassed and at the same time honored. Bad. It was a great beautifully composed army, perfectly made for the meta at the time, and it just steamrolled people. It was gorgeous. I was sad to be in front of it. Just kind of like little comics, yeah. And it like with the Gachapon, a little 3-panel like newspaper strip.
Mm-hmm.
Something that could be folded up, rolled up, and stuffed in the box, because it would be a tiny box. I mean, that's probably like 1.5 inches cubed. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Or probably even like maybe 1.5 inches squared by 2 inches tall. You know what I mean? So, or something along those lines. We're still kind of figuring that out. But everything has its production date. We're running on deadline, and this is definitely like we're hitting the ground. Like 2023 is where it's coming out, and we're swinging for the fences. And we, especially with the world economy is going the way they're going, people are going to want inexpensive entertainment. They're going to want to get a lot of fun out of every last denomination of their currency.
Oh yeah.
Replayability, rereadability, rewatchability, so on and so forth. So that's something that we're aiming to do, and hopefully we'll get this popular enough that we can start introducing people to some of these larger IPs out here in indie comics. But you know how it goes with those folks. Those folks, they're not messing around. They're here to do business. So you don't go to them unless you're going to make them money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's fine. They do a lot of charity. They do a lot of promoting and helping out the smaller folks. But the ultimate concern is, like, as it should be with any business, is how do you assist my bottom line? No offense. We could be the best friends in the world, but it's like, bruh, are you gonna make me money while I make you money? Am I going to sell a couple of copies to your fans? Am I going to sell some few copies to your fans? Well, I sell a few copies to my fans, right? Because that's how we need to grow. A lot of people get upset about that, but it's like, well, I worked in business for a long time. I worked in business. I worked on management side of things. I listened to and learned from people who were like self-made millionaires. And especially from the ones who weren't douches. So I'm like, you're a millionaire and you're not a douche. How do you do it? How do you be a good person and still make money? It's like, oh, well, you got to have this energy. You got to have this excitement. You got to have this pizzazz. Need more pizzazz. And it's it. Like when the big guys are saying, like, hey, build your brand. Get out there, market. Mm-hmm. And often, because they are so insanely talented in what they do, they don't know the world of marketing. They don't know the world of business. There's a lot of loopholes, or not loopholes, but pitfalls.
Yeah.
Like Wrecked Planet is coming out, and yeah, it's late, but it's gorgeous. The product is high quality. Extra production value has been added on the back end. Is it enough to make up for its lateness? Honestly, that and yeah, you're going to always have shrinkage. You're always going to have shrinkage of customers and consumers.
I thought you were picking on me because I'm old.
Oh no. But you're still, these guys have been, Ethan's been growing his stuff, so his business is larger than ever, and not to seem callous or just to disregard anyone who is upset. No, you have every right to be upset and redress your grievances, but ultimately, it's working out for him. And he's getting better and faster at it. Like, he's learning a lot. Like, some of the newer products are coming out faster than the older products because things have been streamlined so efficient.
Yeah.
Lessons have been learned. And it's great because I haven't seen him make the same business mistake twice. And that really gives me hope. Right?
Oh, yeah.
First issues are usually the worst issue, to be honest. Like, the cool stuff usually happens later issues, like the really cool ground shaking stuff. So, and I see that with each book that he's putting out, it's getting better, right? Except for the weirdos who will just be upset at anything, or just not satisfied. I observed that there's improvements, that things are getting better, and that's what we need. We need that from these big guys, because if they fail, there's no such thing as too big to fail. We found this out.
Oh,
so
yeah.
If they fail, it's like a sinking boat. Like, if you're not far enough away from that, it'll take you down with it. And unfortunately, that boat's so big that it might even drown a couple of companies. So that needs to succeed, has to succeed. And we can't do anything but hope that these people that have their big boats are properly learning and doing business. I know that ISOM's come under a lot of criticism for it, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but it was done right. And I guarantee that second issue is going to be worlds better, because when you're starting a business, always learning things. That's why it takes like 3 years to turn a profit on a business.
Yeah. The only problem I see with that, comics wise, is if the first issue doesn't punch you in the gut and drag you down
right
into
and
that world, then you're not going to have a second issue, or your second issue is going to go where sales on your second issue should go up by at least 20%. They're going to go down by 50%.
Yeah, and it's going to take, and even if it is better, it's going to take longer to convince people to meet that sales goal.
Because you left a sour taste in people's mouth out the gate.
That's right. First issue wasn't as well received. And this is why a lot of stuff, like, I treat comic books like anime, that, I give it a good 3 iterations, like episodes, issues, et cetera,
yeah,
to really find its legs. Like, look at Star Trek. It took over 2 seasons for it to become I'm talking original series, to become recognizable as the original series, as we can all spot it in a meme.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like, that show was all over the place. Same thing with Next Generation.
Yep.
It didn't get its legs until season 1 of episode 3. Or sorry, season 3, episode 1. Where, finally, Geordi's in engineering. The bridge crew is as you recognize them. They're wearing the colors you recognize. And they have the dynamic. The characters are fleshed out. A lot of the characters are very different than they were in that pilot episode, Encounter at Farpoint. You know what I mean? So, sometimes you got to give it a minute. And that's, unfortunately, the consumer market is cruel, unforgetting, and unforgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And which is why it's always good to have another IP.
And the other thing with the consumer market is, they can be all for your product over here.
Yeah.
And then like, ooh, shiny. And now they've completely forgotten that you even exist.
Yeah. And I see a lot of creators, and I largely consider this to be a mistake. I see them coming out with a whole bunch of their different ideas. And I'm like, look, give your thing at least a 3-act treatment before moving on to your next idea.
Mm-hmm.
Give it a solid 3-act treatment. Give them something to really sink their, let them get full. Give them a full story arc. Tell them a tale. Spin them a yarn. Right? And let people get a feel for it. Like I see John Malin, Graveyard Shift. Dude, he's doing good. He's had relatively consistent sales on it. He's got a solid audience. And is it a huge audience? No. Is it profitable? Does it allow him to do what he wants to do? Yeah. No, this is good. He's transitioning more to a leadership position, which is what he wants to do in life. He wants to be a Jim Shooter, a Tom DeFalco, a Stanley, a Julia Schwartz. You know what I'm saying? So that's great. And I'm watching. I'm like, oh yeah, no, this one's gonna fund really well. It's already almost 80K, and it's just at its halfway point. So that one's gonna do just fine. I'm not super into the subject matter, but for me it was all right. You know what I mean? Like I'm more into stuff like Nephilim Squadron and Nat Mark and Door Kickers, Roach Balls, dude. I can't.
Oh, Roach Balls is awesome, and it's weird because before we jumped in and we're like pre-showing in the back room and everything, I was watching Global Freak because they had the Comics GUI magazine crew on, and I was busting chops because there was they only had one person on the panel that hadn't published anything yet.
Uh-oh.
And so my quick jab at him was, wow, until I saw, fill in name here when you watch that episode later.
Right.
I never knew Freddie Mercury had a son.
Oh, wow. Okay. No. And
he's got the Freddie mustache.
Speaking of Neff at Global Frequency, the Mavericks, man, like that. I'm way into that stuff. Like I'm a heavy metal 2000 AD underground. Like Pirate Corps is still one of my favorite comics from slave labor press.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, it's been so long. The creators of Milk and Cheese, the guy who sank Heavy Metal magazine to begin with, before it was bought out by a Ninja Turtles creator who decided he was going to sink it further, which really broke my heart because Pirate Corps is just so much fun. I love things like, and I'm not too into like there are a couple of superheroes there are a couple, man. I'm going to do that I really do like superhero books. And I like the new flavors. These aren't your typical in the city of Townsville kind of superhero stories. I really enjoy those. Like Inglorious Rex, I want to get my hands on that so bad. The kids and I love Starlight Cats. I absolutely love that one. That one's a family reading book. Like we sit down and we hang out and we practice our reading with Starlight Cats because comics are a gateway to literacy.
Yes, they are.
My youngest son, who's 9, is like a Johnny Phantasm super fan.
Nice.
He stole my shirt. I bought the shirt because I like shirts and hats, and he stole it. He straight jacked it. He said, "Sorry, Dad, go buy yourself a new shirt."
My daughter does that too. I am a long way from being able to fit back into a 3X. And everybody's like, "Damn, how big you?" Well, about a few years back, I was pushing around 600 pounds. And I am now 380.
Good
380,
stuff.
385. So.
Heck yeah, that's great. That's great.
I'm half the person I used to be, but I want to be more like the person I was in my 20s. Now,
right.
No bones about it. I was still fat.
Right.
But I carried it well.
Right.
Because I'm like 6'3" and 6'2", 6'3". I used to be 6'3", but then again, shrinkage.
Right.
But I had hair, but now I used to be a redhead. And my daughter's a redhead, but to start one of the many teenage battles, she went and dyed her hair with what looked like shoe polish because it looked like she had gone and played in a mud puddle made out of tar.
Goodness.
When she showed up at my house, and I'm like, "Did you just put shoe polish in your head?" Because it was stiff as a board too, and I'm like,
"Oh, that's funny."
Oh dear Lord! So now she's got her red hair, her beautiful red hair, dyed black, but has in homage to the Joker, I believe, or possibly even the character that was called Harley Quinn, the original, also known as the Joker's daughter, where they went back and forth. She was the daughter of some Batman villain, but then not so much. So she's got this section of green Joker hair.
Okay.
Coming down, as part of her bangs.
That sounds fun. It's just
and I'm like,
a certain crowd of people ruined dyed hair.
Yeah, and then she also went and got a bull ring piercing in her nose.
Yeah, so did mine.
And I'm just like, I need a 9-volt battery to test this theory out.
Oh, dude, yeah, no, it's hilarious. I kept teasing her about it. Actually, I largely just ignored it, and the problem solved itself.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, that's really nice looking. Oh yeah, that's a really cool looking piece of jewelry you got there. I can't imagine.
Usually, what she does is because you can flip it up in so nobody can see it.
Yep.
So that's what she does, around me. But if we go out, we go out to the pizza parlor or something, or to the park, it comes out.
Right, because it's a piece of jewelry. You're meant to show it off. No, I did it.
But
I grew up in punk culture. I didn't get all the piercings, but I understood it.
I mean, I got my ear pierced because I was 16, and some girl a little older than me that was working at the place that pierced everybody in the mall.
There you go.
You look really good with your ear pierced.
Right.
Okay. It came out 2 weeks later, infected, and closed up on its own. I can still feel the bump there, under the skin.
You get the calcification.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, so that's all well and good, but I'm like, it's done. It bothers me at first.
Right.
And, I go into, Immortal Hulk mode. And then after that, I'm like, yeah, whatever. When she gets older, she'll realize how pompous she looked with a bull ring through her nose.
I'm like, hey, just
because we had tattoos to piss off our parents.
Right.
They've got facial mod pieces of metal.
I'm like, hey, at least you're not gauging. You know what I mean? You're not putting in gauges to stretch it all out. You're not getting tattoos on your face, destroying any possibility of being respected in society.
He's talking to you, Mike Tyson.
Well, he has enough money to get away with it. You know what I mean? You know, and outside of like traditional cultural tattooing on the face, I don't think any of that stuff looks good. Anyways, it looks stupid, especially when they're just trying to imitate the worst Joker ever.
Yeah, and the people would. It's like, how in the world did you get tattoos on your eyelids? Or more importantly, why?
Oh no, yeah, I can't do that one. I can't even imagine. I don't have any tattoos because I can never make up my mind long enough. That I'm like, wait, that's gonna cost me how much money, and how many times am I gonna have to come here to get this done, dude? I ain't got no time for that. I got other things to do.
I got a few, but now I'm because of medical problems, I'm on a blood thinner for life. So,
oh yeah, that's right out then.
Yeah, so I'm like, guess not. So
Right.
I got the ones I got, and that's all that I got. You know, so
Word.
that's the way it goes.
That's the way it goes. Diddling, diddling, diddling. Oh, that's a client. That's one. I'm working on this for Paladin Dragoon right now.
There we go.
Let me see here. Where did I hide it? No. Where are you? Where is that? Oh. Okay, there it is. Boom, with the pencils.
Ah.
Yeah. There we go. And I can nuke that layer so that way you can actually see the underlying pencils here.
Ooh, very nice.
This picture, this is for Paladin Dragoon, which is coming out in a couple of years. This is a project for the creator of the project. Or I should say, this is a commission for the creator of the project. They've got a dynamic thing. I'm glad to be a part of it. I'm also working on Neon Revenant coming out from Rock Hard Comics.
Ooh.
I'm the lead artist on that project. He's got amazing like covers from some heavy hitting names, and you're gonna have like dynamic, awesome internal pages. So, and beautiful colors for Ron Strange on that one. It's good, man. It's going to be a busy year for me. I'm very excited, and although I do run like right now, like I do run periodically from time to time. I run sales to just kind of like stir up a little bit of artwork out there. Usually because I'm working on something that I can't host. So I'll be like, dang it, all right, I'm going to run a sale just so I can get some eyes on some fresh material and make some quick bucks. I've got a sale that ends tomorrow at noon Eastern. So definitely check out my Twitter for that one. Contact me today. Book me for your project. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. And your Twitter link is not only in the chat, but it's in the show notes, either up above or down below, depending on where people are watching us. And
awesome.
if you're listening, it's actually in the description of the podcast. So if you just scroll down, you'll see Missy Tank's Twitter handle, and when you go further down, you'll see my link tree that I need to update, but I will because there's so many things.
Right now I'm doing rapid turnarounds because I've got a book to put out, so I can't have a bunch of commission work sitting on my desk. But I still have a family to support and bills to pay, and this is what I do.
So get it while you can.
Right. Now, I remember one time I did an advertising. I was running a sale, and like, dude, like some people came out and attacked me. How dare I try to make money? I'm like, what is wrong with you, dude? Well, you wanted to go start GoFundMe? I mean,
how dare you undercut our $1,000 sketch cards? What?
Right. I wish I was that good that I was undercutting $1,000 sketch cards. Now,
Well,
see,
the
that
easiest way
squad
to
goals, right?
yeah, squad goals. The easiest way to undercut $1,000 sketch card is to not charge $1,000 for a sketch card.
Although I really would love to be able to request those kinds of prices. I want to be that busy and that good. Like I said earlier on Twitter, I'm obscene and I'm talented. I'm still working on combining the two.
Yeah, one of my favorite modern artists that's more in the mainstream, even though he is the glorified, sadly now just the glorified cover artist of Dynamite Entertainment is JML, and I would love to get a commission from him, but I have not won the lottery yet. So,
right,
for more than $20, that's not really going to cut it. So,
yeah, no, I understand, because when I crowdfund this book, one of the things that I that's why I have to kind of like get it out there, get it into people's hands, and it's because I want to get some John Zalesnik artwork. John Zalesnik is, fantasy science fiction painter, well known throughout the role playing game circuit, especially.
oh yeah,
And he's a fan of the project, and so I've got a sweetheart deal from him on the work, but it's still pricey.
mm-hmm.
And it's still pricey. But that kind of geeks me out that he's a fan of the Scalpel Zero.
Oh yeah. Well, because cheap art ain't good, and good art ain't cheap.
Right. Well, I mean, you have your three factors, right? Good, cheap, and fast, and you can only pick two.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I call these sales unicorn sales, because it's good, it's fast, and it's cheap. So it's my unicorn sale. Grab it while you can, because I don't do this. It's not worth the stress.
Yeah, because I mean, I know that for a fact, because Sean every week he's got commissions all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but the only time him and I spend a bunch of time together is during the Monday Night Draw stream,
Right.
and he never works on commissions on that, because a lot of people are like, I don't want anybody seeing what I got.
Right.
And a lot of as you know, a lot of commission stuff can be a little spicy.
Yes, I actually have a very, shall we say, Sakami-chan black and white commission, where I've got the two modes, the safe for work and not safe for work versions.
Yeah, there's those.
Yep. So I've got one of those. I can do the foundation of it live. I can do some of the stuff, but I ain't finishing it. No, sir. I like my channel.
Nope. What happened to that piece of art? Well, do you know so and so? No. Okay. Well, I'm very sorry, but you're never going to see the finished part.
No, you'll be able to get that one. You'll probably be able to see that one in Tank Ferret Presents magazine, which hopefully is that one. It will be coming out first quarter of 2024.
Oh, very nice.
Variety magazine. I'm specifically looking at creators who have underachieved, in my perception, on their funding. And we got a bunch of variety stories that are going to be in there as well, some staples. So kind of like a meeting point between Heavy Metal Magazine, which was really just kind of like a variety show, and stories would be around for like maybe 4 or 5 issues tops. Kind of like a meeting point between that and Shonen Jump, where you've got your ongoing series that's coming out 8 pages to 16 pages at a time.
Yeah.
Right. So, and once again, fair profit share deals and everything, so that these people get paid. They get paid, so that way they can make the money to they can make the money to continue to bring more of this content out. Because I want to see him succeed. I'm so tired of it. I'm like, at this point, I'm like anti-mainstream. I have most mainstream words, IPs, and stuff like that. I have those words muted on Twitter and most social media. I just mute the words. I don't even want to see it. I don't care. Show me your indies. Let me see the new stuff. Let me see something new. I want to see more stuff like, Six Gun Gorilla.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to give me superhero stuff? Give me more Reaper Destroyer and American Bliss and Common America and Perfect 10, Black Tiger. Give me more. I want to see your superhero stuff. Let me see more Inglorious Rex.
I did see where the Six Gun Gorilla Omnibus is funding on Zoot.
Yes, Brian has been running an experiment over there, and I really want to have a nice long talk with him and pick apart his data, because he is a very astute gentleman, and I would love to see what his information comes out to.
I looked because I liked the Omnibuy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I looked and saw that his Omnibuy was in the form of a trade paperback.
Yeah.
And I'm a lover of hardcover.
Yeah, hardcover option is always good.
Simply because once you start reading it, or like once you actually open the book,
mm-hmm.
the front and back covers start doing curly cues.
Yep. That is absolutely true.
No, sir, I don't like it.
No, sir, I don't like it. And I'm absolutely with you on that. No, I see a lot of these crowdfunding campaigns, and some of them that I have bought into have delivered to me retail quality copies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, dude, I paid a lot of money for this book. This should be a collector's quality copy. Make sure that you got a profit margin big enough that you can afford to overprint. Make sure that you've got enough to cover this. Like, when you hit that funding goal should be your zero-sum game. Right? Unless you're so big you don't care and you're just going for the algorithm. Right?
Yeah.
I see a lot of small campaigns do like, oh, well, I'm going to do what the big guys did and say it's $500, and they're struggling to complete it, and they fall off the map. They reappear 2 years late, and they're like, hey, it's all coming out. And it's like, okay, well, people are angry.
Yeah. I like the model personally that a bunch of creators I know run with,
mm-hmm.
where the project's actually done before they go to crowdfunding.
Yeah.
I think the only way that usually doesn't happen is if the creator is the writer and is skillless in the art department.
Oh, editors, ghostwriters.
Yes.
Ghostwriter allows you to look good, and you get to take the credit. And they're taking a premium on that writing rate so you can take the credit because they don't care.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care. Like, for real, staffing is important.
Yeah.
Staffing is important. Production line's important. Like, today I was talking to one of my creators, and I was like, all right, so go find me 3 guys that doesn't matter of their art style, but they have to have their basics in, form, perspective, and whatnot, that visually tell stories the best way you think this story will be told. And what we're going to do is I'll go in, once he has that information, I'm going to go in and talk to them and do the actual contract negotiations, and they're going to do the breakdowns, because we have a great rendering artist, but they have a weak spot in their visual storytelling, but the artwork is great. So, okay, cool. We'll just do what Julia Schwartz did for Rob Liefeld. We're going to go get Dan Jurgens to do your breakdowns. or whoever the hell did his. I think it was Dan Jurgens who did his breakdowns. And dude, Hawk and Dove, that a breakthrough miniseries, is still my favorite of his work, even though the rendering is not as good.
Yeah,
like the inker did not understand what Rob was doing because Rob was ahead of his time. Even though as much as it still needed to bake a little bit more in the oven, but that's where a good production team comes in handy. Tony Wong knocks out a kung fu comic every 2 weeks with a staff of 29 people, each doing one step of the process. And the kung fu Tony Wong has been producing the exact same look of his comics for 30, 40 years now.
Yep.
And I know exactly what I'm getting into with a Tony Wong comic. I know there's going to be some killer kung fu action.
And that's the biggest part of a visual medium is we need to see, action.
Right.
There's plenty of, storytelling styles and character development, but every writer isn't a Chris Claremont or and every artist isn't gonna be
it's Mark Silvestri, Silvestri.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and some of my favorite X-Men covers were from Silvestri.
Oh, for real. He's the guy who got me to reading X-Men. That's where it all started.
I met him back in 2013 at the first Rhode Island Comic Con.
That's fantastic. Yeah, no,
I met him, and when I in 2019 when I covered the Rhode Island Comic Con for Outright Geekery, outside of being able to sit and talk to Neil for about, I'm in a wheelchair, so I'm always sitting, I know. Sitting and talking to Neil and his daughter and his lead crew guy for about 45 minutes. Later on, down the other end, I got to meet another hero of mine, as I'm basically a child of the 70s, and I grew up with the world's greatest superhero line and Mego that made all those awesome Star Trek action figures, the 8-inch versions and the cloth costumes with the utility belts, with the phasers and communicators and tricorders and everything. And I got to meet Marty Abrams, who created that, took the company from his dad and made this huge empire out of it. That Star Wars defeated later on in the 70s. But it turned out that all the original box art for World's Greatest Superheroes and like Star Trek and some of the monster stuff and other things was actually Neil. Because he was already working, for Marvel and DC. He was very young, back then, but he was still a superstar. And Marty hired him to do the production artwork for the World's Greatest Superhero boxes. And there was a picture taken with them with their arm around each other, debuting it back in like the late 60s, early 70s. And Marty didn't know that Neil was actually there. And I mentioned it to him, and he ran down, and Marty Abrams got a new updated picture of older Marty, older Neil, modeling for a picture. I also got to meet Mr. Compass Comics, Graham Nolan, who I'm sure was sick of me by the end of the convention. Bill McKay and another favorite of mine, Mike Grell.
Oh, nice.
So I was thrilled. I'm annoying people and hanging out, and job well done.
Nice, very nice. Yeah, I'm starting to get back out there. I just been so busy on the business side of things that I barely have time beyond schmoozing these days. And I want that to change. I want to be able to just be a fan for a minute which is why I have
Right.
my piece of fan art, which I just put it all in one spot. I've got this one right here. Hold on, it's loading. Come on, load. You can do it. I know you can do it. I believe in you. Here we go. The Comicsgate Mega Collage.
Whoa.
Recently, we got American Bliss right there. We got Krishna Kid, Zener, Embrace. Speaking of Little Nephilim Squadron, right? Some Six Gun Gorilla, Black Rhapsody, Tropical Magics, Artifice Reanimate, Company Man, Beowar with Siamese, Bad Vibes, Star Circuit, Smoke the Fox, Bonds, Talus, Ace, Luani from Nat the Merc, Dreaded Dinosaur Man, what do you call that? The Shotgun Samurai, even though it's like right there, it's Shotgun and Samurai. What do you call him? Shadow
Charlie.
Sentry. Right? Badger, Reaper Destroyer, Ballot Mirror from Battle of Celestials, Chaotic Flux, Canadian Shield, Devil Flyer, Black Dragon, Pariah Blood and Mud, Elizabeth from Pariah Blood and Mud, Cobalt, Sins of the Fae, so far on here.
I'm in Pariah Blood and Mud from Doc.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. Oh, and we can't forget up at the top, some Frog Jimmy.
Oh, yes.
And as you can see, I'm starting to ink it. And so I'm going to ink it. And what's great is that each one of these represents somebody that I've had a chance to actually sit down and talk to them about their comics, or something that they've done, and get them entered in to this little lexicon right here. And I'm going to finish this up by the end of the year. I'm going to throw it up on Pirate Bay for anybody to just color, play with, download. I don't care. It's fan art.
Oh, cool.
I'll put it on Pirate Bay so that way people can torrent it and seed it. And I don't have because it's a big picture. This is a 350 DPI, 36 by 48 inches.
Wow.
So, hey, if you wanted to print out a wall scroll and then color it in with some fabric markers, that would be the most awesome thing ever. Send me pictures. And another reason why Pirate Bay is so that way I can I'm outlining all of the characters on here. I'm outlining all of these people. And, why did that disappear? Where would disappear? Oh, okay. I'm outlining all of the characters on here, and there's going to be little number on it, and then there'll be another file that actually has what is the character's name, their first published appearance, the webs, who owns the copyright, and where can you buy it? Where's a store where you can find it?
That's cool. That's kind of one of the big cover spreads of like a George Perez cover, and
right.
on the inside back cover it would be an outline of every character and a chart down the bottom telling you who the hell they were.
Exactly. Just with a little more emphasis because
which was specifically important when George Perez and Mark Wolfman did the original Crisis on Infinite Earths, because he literally drew every single character that ever existed in the DC universe.
Mm-hmm. Every iteration of them. Yep. And so, and I this is my fan art. This is me being a fan and just keeping it all in one place because it's look, and it's already contributed. It's already gotten, it's already garnered some attention for people. Ooh, what's that over there? Because they're oh, I recognize this IP that I like, and they're ooh, what's that thing next to it? Is that so and so? Well, actually, no, that's so and so. Or yeah, you're right, that's so and so. Well, what's that thing next to him? That's been fantastic. That's been absolutely fantastic because I'm really happy when that happens. I'm good because I want to see these succeed, and I want more. And of course, we have Fantelican up here. Yes, Fanta, Phantasmagorical as a pelican, as a cyber pelican from Artifice Reanimate.
Now, since we've got a little Frog G action going on up there,
Mm-hmm.
do you think there might be an ARO coming to this?
Oh, definitely. I definitely want to add that. I mean, there's so much stuff, and honestly, like I'll take it on tour. I'll have it on my channel, but the stipulation is I get to hang out with this person. We get to talk about them and their IP while I draw it in. It takes me nowadays. It takes me about an hour to get like a full character just done. Like she took about an hour while I was conversating with Dave Brick and just kind of hanging out.
Nice.
And then it was like, hey, so is this right? Details good? It's like, yeah, no, that's it. That's all the details.
Awesome.
And that's the idea. So that way it's recognizable. Even though it's in my style, it's just the one style. But it's recognizable. Because the idea is for me to share my fandom so that people will buy it. So that way the price point comes down for me. See, I'm really selfish, you see. And I want more. In order for there to be more, people need to buy this. Not just me. Lots of people.
Lots of peoples need to buy this.
That's right.
And then the price point will come down to where all the peoples can afford to buy this.
Right. I got to go here real shortly, but I'll leave you with one last bit of wisdom from the Schwartz. I was like 15 years old at the time, and I was really getting into making my own original characters at this point. And not just like silly, stupid characters where I'm just kind of laughing and joking, and not like fan fiction OCs type of characters, like real independent storylines, independent characters and stuff like that. And you know, I was showing him to Julie, and he's like, okay, well, this is all really neat and everything. You know, I see that gets to see 1,000 of these a day, right? He's like, this is all neat and everything, but let me ask you a question. Where do you see your characters? And I was like, oh, I'd love to do a crossover, or you know, do some crossover books. I'd like to have them published by such and such a company. He goes, no. And he grabs me by the shoulder and points around the convention hall to all the vendors. And goes, where do you see your characters? Right? And it's like, he goes, look, you can buy Superman Band-Aids. Everybody uses Band-Aids. He's like, and so it's like, okay, cool. So make it accessible to everybody, and gatekeep the weirdos. For real. They can be fans, but they can stay to their little weirdo fan boards just with the rest of the weirdos that want to like hijack everything and make it their own. Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, good sir, I have to be running.
Well, thank you so much for coming and hanging out and talking a little bit of everything tonight.
Right. I had a good time. I had a fun time just kind of hanging out, chilling. I enjoy your show. Enjoy the podcast.
Thank you. And we will definitely have to have you back on once you get past the London calling.
Oh, yeah, London Falling, yes.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. We will be making circuits around. We'll have media packs for people. We'll have goodies. We're pulling out the stops for that. We're still in organic mode, and a few of us are slinging our funny books, which ain't so funny. But, you know, as they say, bow.
Bow. So thank you very much, and we'll be in touch, of course, and this will be available on podcast by tomorrow sometime, if not earlier this early morn. And follow and check out Tank Ferret Art on Twitter.
Do it.